What up? We're back at this thing again. Excited about this guest lineup. We got a double trouble in the house today. We have the Link Academy out of Branson, Missouri, one of the best programs in the country. Brand new program. We have the head coach, Coach Rodney Perry, and we have the assistant coach, Coach Jake White. What up, fellas? How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Great. How we doing?
Good, man. Excited to be able to chop it up today. So let's talk Link year first, and then we'll go to your individual stories and how you got there. Just tell a quick, 60, 120 seconds about how you ended up there. We'll go Coach Perry first and Coach White next. Coach, you can go a little longer. You're a head coach, so you can go a little longer.
I appreciate that. My story is not very long anyway. Coached college basketball for 17 years. Spent the last 2 seasons at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Adam Danye, who's the president, athletic director of Link Academy, was wanting to start a high school program. Contacted me back in December, and pretty much basically was like, "Hey, feel like I'm the right guy for the job and everything." And I didn't feel like it at the time. I turned him down, and then he just stayed persistent. It's like, "Hey, come down, check out." Everything that we have to offer, see our vision, our goals, what we want to happen. And he convinced me to come down, and I saw everything and still, wasn't 100% on board, with it. But the more and more I thought about it, I felt like it would actually give me an opportunity to showcase what I feel like, God has blessed me with, the talent to be able to recruit, and not only just recruit, but also show everyone that I can actually coach. And coach really good talent at the same time too. So that's pretty much basically how we ended up here at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri.
Yep, I love it. And then Jake, how about yourself? How did your journey? I know you from the JC ranks back in the day, in the good old days, and you spent some time at Boise State as well. But tell me your journey to how you led there.
Yeah, so I was coaching in college for 9 years, high school for about 4. And I was, I got to a point where I felt like I wanted to get to, the highest level of basketball, and 2 summers ago, KT Turner told me to go work a camp in Kansas City. And I went up to work the camp. It was MoCan's mini camp, met Matt Suter, met Rodney Perry, and just, stayed in contact with Coach Perry, over the years, just because I was coaching in junior college. He was at Missouri, Kansas City. I always, felt that I had guys that could play for him. And, I went to the circuit in Dallas at Drive Nation. A buddy of mine told me about what was brewing in Branson, Missouri. Coach P and I already had the relationship, and he told me a little bit about it and told me to call him on Monday. And I called him on that next Monday, and we just kind of got the ball rolling. And the more and more people I talked to, the more I thought about it and prayed about it. I just felt like it was, the best for me as far as, what I want to do long term. It was a leap of faith for sure, but, that's the short story of how I ended up at Link Academy.
I love it. And then, Coach, I don't know if you already touched on this as much as you want to, but the process to building this thing. I mean, obviously, you guys are nationally ranked, one of the hot tickets, period, if you're a college coach or if you're just a basketball fan to come watch Link. You just got 2 players named McDonald's All-Americans just this week. How did this whole thing come about? I mean, obviously, Link here, the prep school, has a reputation. Branson, Missouri is a beautiful place. The facilities, I don't think most people that are non-coaches know about this world. So talk about how building it, and then Jake, will let you chime in on that same thing. Player-wise, infrastructure-wise, facility-wise, schedule-wise, how did all this come about like it has?
Well, we knew we had to go out and try to get some of the top-notch talent to be able to compete on a national level because we wanted to be able to put together, the best possible team that we can put together, and as well as being able to play a national schedule that can compete for a national championship with the opportunity of hopefully being able to qualify for Geico Nationals. And so we pretty much started with some people that we knew, and we have a lot of relationships in this business, this line of work, and kind of reached out to the people and started letting them know what we was, trying to build here. And, really it was a lot of trust. A lot of people trusted us with their players, with their, vision also for the players. And once we started to kind of get a few guys bought in and committed, then it kind of started to snowball from there, because then they became recruiters for us, also. But we just really wanted to be able to put the best team, not the best individuals, the best team together as we could, because culture wins. And we feel like we have a great culture. We want to get kids that was all about hard work. We want to get kids that was all about winning. We want to get kids that wanted to compete. And we want to get kids that just wanted to improve and be the best that they can be, each and every day. And then we also kind of wanted to get some guys that had a little bit of, chips on their shoulder too, and felt like that they was being under the radar, overlooked, and needed to get some of the credit that they deserve, too. And so once we identified those guys there and went after those guys, and then it just started to fall in place, and we just kept saying, we'll have the guys who we're supposed to have because, we're in the right place, right situation, and God's going to bless us that way. And sure enough, it worked out that way. And, pretty much the rest has been history from now.
Hey, man, I love it. I love it. Jake, what would you like to chime in on that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, just to, build on what Coach P said, I think, the players that we had on board first, they were the best recruiters for us because they already had that perception of the talent and the success that they've had at their high schools prior and in AAU basketball. And then, once we get the parents on campus and they see the facilities, they see the dorm rooms, they see that, the school sits on top of a lake, they see the gated community. I mean, any parent would want that to have their son in a nice, safe environment, but at the same time be challenged. So, the players did a great recruiting job for us. And then on top of that, once they get here and then they saw all the resources that we have, I mean, I just feel like it wasn't easy, but it most definitely did help.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk about anything about your time there so far that's been better than what you thought. What would be one thing you say, Coach P, and what's one thing, Jake?
Well, I would say the part that's been, better than what I thought. I would say, first of all, I didn't know we would be undefeated at this point in time, 26-0 in the country.
Right.
Because obviously when you first starting out and first building the program and, everything like that, and knowing that, our schedule was going to be really, really tough because we have a bunch of top 20 schools that we're actually playing, against too. And so that part there has kind of turned out to be better than what I thought. The other part that actually turned out to be probably the biggest thing is that how quickly our guys fell in love with each other, how quickly they bonded, how quickly they ended up being like, hey, you my brother, type of thing, and I'm not going to let you down. And that was the biggest thing, because when we got the plan at the beginning of the year, people was asking, well, how long you guys been together? It looked like you guys been together for a few years and stuff, like, and we was like, no, only a few days, if anything,
Right.
So that part there was probably better than what I even anticipated it being.
Right. How do you think that was created? Obviously, some of it was organic because the players just hitting it off, and usually guys that are like-minded, they hit it off pretty well, and guys are about winning. But what would you say as a staff you guys have kind of done to foster that and create that? Because it doesn't happen all the time.
Right. Well, I felt like one of the biggest things that we done from day one was when the guys got here on campus on Sunday, August 29th, on that Monday morning, we left and went on a 3-day retreat where there's no basketball involved at all. We just got to know each other, hang out with each other, bond with each other, find out each other's story, and everything like that. So I really felt like that really helped us, too. We just did a lot of fun activities, really too. And so a lot of times when guys are having a lot of fun, they let their hair down and, kind of, you get to learn more about people. The more you learn about people, which buttons to push and what to stay away from. But at the same time, just showing everyone, hey, I care about you more so as a person than I do as a player. And I felt like that was probably the biggest, thing that helped us out right from the start.
That's dope. That's dope. Jake, what would you say?
Yeah, I'll just build on what Coach P said. He said that the guys fell in love with each other. From a coach's perspective, as a team, as individuals, these guys are really, really coachable. And that's one thing that I won't say that I was expecting it to be bad, but you just don't know, especially when you deal with, kids that have 30 offers or kids that are 4 and 5 stars that have had so much success prior to you meeting them. Because if you're looking at it from their perspective, why would they listen to me, and why would they change things when they've been so successful prior? But we have our little issues here and there, but for the most part, these guys have been very coachable and bought in. And if anything, if one guy falls and takes a step off the bus for 1 second, the other 10 guys pull him back on. There's never 3 or 4 guys off the bus. It may be 1, it might be 2, but our coach is just so strong because these guys are really coachable, and Coach B has done a really good job of that, because ultimately it's an accountability deal, and you can't argue with it when we're 26-0. You shouldn't be griping and complaining. So
no, for sure, that makes sense. So what's one of the fun parts about this so far? Obviously, you talked about the trip you're taking to kind of get away. 26-0 is fun in itself. Let's just call it what it is. If you're 26-0 competing against the best teams, that in itself is fun. But what's something that maybe behind the scenes that's just a fun thing? We'll talk about funny story later. We always end with that. But what's something fun along the way? We'll let Jake go first on this one.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you did, man. I wasn't ready for that. We do have some really, really funny guys on the team. I'd say Julian Phillips is at the top of that list. He's very, very dry sense of humor, has everybody rolling. But I'd probably say, our team huddles at Coach P's house on Sundays, right? Yeah. We go, obviously the Sundays that we're here, we go to his house. His wife cooks food for us. We'll take 30 minutes or so to eat beforehand, talk a little bit, and then watch film and talk a little bit afterwards. But, you look at that as a team bonding and kind of a, organic type of deal. But that's when all of the fun happens. There's so many jokes and funny stories being told. Where Coach had a deal one day where the guys could, mimic him, and whoever had the best Coach Perry impression won the award. And it was just, those are the winning games is fun, traveling is fun, but it's that downtime when guys can be themselves. No doubt. I would say that's definitely it. I'd say JP being a comedian, and then those team huddles on Sundays. So.
Nice. Coach.
Well, we always like to have fun. We feel like you can't always be serious, and we do have such a great group of guys, and just being able to listen to their stories, or they actually do something that's pretty fun every week. They have rap battles every Tuesday evening, where we actually got involved and actually bought a crown and this big old fat gold chain. So whoever wins for the week, they get the crown and the gold chain.
That's dope.
For the winning that award. And then
they came up with the idea to do the rap battles, or was that your idea?
No, they came up with the idea for the rap battles, and it kind of started like just a simple little battle between 2 guys, and then they blew it up and made it a whole production. To where they have judges, they have you getting voted on your lyrics, your appearance, to your delivery, and so they made it this whole big
costume. They get in character.
Yeah, so they made it this whole big deal, and so we always laugh and joke about that. And then we actually had another surprise for them this morning at practice, because I told them practice is gonna be really hard today. We're gonna compete extremely hard today, too. And so we watched a little bit of film first, and then we have a drill that we actually call warrior drill, that teams compete against each other, one-on-one battles and things like that they really like. And I was like, oh, today warrior drill going to be something special, too. And so after we went through our warm-up, and we split up the 2 teams, so that way they know, who was on teams and getting ready to battle and everything. And said, so I said, our special warrior drill right now. So we brought out the dodgeballs and put the dodgeballs out there and play some dodgeball, this morning for our practice. So they had a blast with that. So and then it wasn't over when we got done with practice and everything. They took it to the locker room, took the balls in the locker room, and started throwing and hitting people in the locker room with the balls and stuff. So we actually have a lot of fun, too. And these guys are just a great group of guys to be around.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. What about the basketball part, Coach? I got you on the hot seat now, so I'll keep you there. Tell us about the basketball part. Obviously, you've played. Tell us about the schedule, which I can, regurgitate it, but you obviously have lived it. Tell us about the schedule, and then tell us about just the basketball part of this team that you would want people to know that some people have seen, some people may not have seen, but what is attributed to the set liking each
Yeah,
other?
the fun part about the basketball part is, being able to take a bunch of talented guys and actually get them to play together. Coach White alluded to it earlier, and that, you don't always get that when you have a bunch of really, really talented guys. Coming into it, they knew that they was going to have to sacrifice, but, we convinced them that, hey, sacrificing is a good thing for the betterment of the team, because the better the team does, the better it is for everyone that's on that team. Too. We actually told them and convinced them that, hey, if we do what we need to do, we're going to have some guys that's McDonald's All-Americans. And you don't have to score 20 points a game to be a McDonald's All-American, either, because our leading score is 13 points a game. But we feel like we put together the right group of guys that don't have these big old egos, guys that want to be successful, not only in basketball, but in life, because we actually use a lot of our basketball lessons and apply them to life is what we end up doing. And so the basketball side of it has been, extremely fun, but also extremely powerful, too, to be able to take these young men and be able to teach them not just only the game of basketball, but the game of life also.
Love that. That's awesome. All right, Jake, you back. You in the hot seat now. What you got for us on the basketball front?
I just say that, I think sometimes, our level of basketball kind of gets a negative connotation because, there's so much business involved in it.
Talk about that.
The platform is just amazing for these kids. And, money's always been on the line in big boy college basketball, and especially now with NIL stuff. And so I want to say that I feel like, of course, I have my biases, but we're on the total different end of the spectrum, because just to go back to, what I said earlier and what Coach P just talked about, man, we're so bought in and so locked in, and winning is what's, it was most important to us, winning and having that culture and acting right and doing the right things. If you come to a practice on a typical day of practice, it'll be probably 10 different times of practice we'll stop and guys have to do push-ups because they didn't close out the right way, or they didn't run the floor, or, whatever the case may be. So, I think I would like to, for sure, make that clear and be specific that, like, here at Link Academy, we're not all about the show. We're not all about, wearing, a bunch of Nike stuff. Now we do wear the Nike and we're going to put on a show, as Coach P always says, but at the same time, we hold our guys accountable day in and day out, on and off the court. And, we're all about the right stuff. So.
Right. Let's talk about the McDonald's All-Americans real quick. Let's talk about the roster. I guess we'll say first, we'll go Coach P. Tell us a little bit about, you had a vision for this program. Obviously, Jake was a part of the vision. You hired him.
Mm-hmm.
You guys recruited a unbelievable roster that's 26-0. But part of that 26-0 is the players, a huge part of that, which is 2 McDonald's All-Americans, and then you have a bunch of other Division I and college level players. So talk a little bit about the roster, if you don't mind. Spend a couple seconds on each one, and then specifically the 2 McDonald's All-Americans. And are you surprised? I'm sure this was part of the plan, the hope for the plan. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised because of the fact of, we always tell, we make it a point every day that no one can do anything by themselves. No successful person is going to be successful by themselves. You got to have a great team around to be successful. And so, just like myself, I wouldn't have been able to put this roster together by myself. I had to have, we're not 26-0 because of me or just because of our players. We have a great staff with Coach White and Luke Smith also being able to be a major part of our program, because I wouldn't be able to do everything that's required to do for us to be successful by myself. In the same way with, our guys that end up being McDonald's All-Americans this year, they wouldn't have been able to be McDonald's All-Americans by themselves without the help of their teammates, too. And we do have 2 McDonald's All-Americans. We have Julian Phillips and Jordan Walsh. Julian Phillips, 6'8", do everything. And that's the great thing about, we feel like our 2 McDonald's All-Americans, both of them are do everything guys. They're going to do whatever is required to win. Both of them are highly competitive guys. They fill up a stat sheet from the scoring aspect, rebounding aspect, assist aspect, and they have to defend. Everyone on our team have to defend in order to play. And that's one thing that we make sure that guys are going to be held accountable, here. And I've got asked the question quite a bit this year. Well, how do you get all these guys to play so hard or play so well together, play unselfish? I said, it's easy. Every player wants to play. And I have all the power, whether to put them on the bench or put them in the game. So therefore, they know if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, they're going to be on the bench. If they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're going to be in the game. But we also have, other really good players around those two guys too. Terrence Reed Jr., who's going to Michigan. He's one of our big time, players that we have. We feel like he should have been more, probably even one of the big guys that should have been one of the McDonald's All-Americans too. We feel like he's that good. Felix Oppar, he's another one of our main guys that's going to Ohio State. And actually we used Felix started games this year. Felix came in off the bench for us, this year. Too big time rim protector, for us. Runs the floor extremely well, catches lob, plays above the rim, and then we'll hit a three, on you too. And then, the thing that I always tell guys too, I feel like what really, really, really makes us really successful, is our guards. You win with good guards, and we have two really good point guards with Trey Green and Jordan Ross, too, because I'm constantly on those guys all the time too, and letting them guys know, hey, we're going to be as successful as you guys are, and then we have two big time glue guys, and you win with glue guys too. And Damian Mayo Jr. is one of the biggest glue guys that we have in the country. He's our team captain. He's a guy that's going to be the biggest vocal leader, on our team. He's going to tell everyone where to go, what to do, whether he's in the game or on the bench. You're always going to hear him. And then Julian Norris is also a big time glue guy for us because he's an elite defender and he's going to knock down open shots. And so with all these different pieces and everyone buying into their role and doing exactly what they're supposed to do to help us win, that's the part where they sacrifice and understand their roles. They know what they're, how they're going to be held accountable. And we have a sign, in our gym, whether it's during practice or in the locker room or a meeting that says, do your job. And so everyone knows what their job is. And they take a lot of pride in simply doing their job.
Right. Well said. Well said. I'm going to switch up your question, Jake, when I slide you over here in the hot seat. Talk a little bit about the landscape of recruiting. You've obviously done it at the junior college level. You've been in the Mountain West, Division I wise. Talk a little bit about the landscape of recruiting and then who are the best transfers assigned kind of at any level or what goes into the recruiting process for yourself too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you and people say it every day, you have to go where you feel comfortable with, whatever the best spot for you is. And it's, and it sounds mundane, but, you have to put a pen to a pad and prioritize what's most important to you. Is it playing your first year? Is it competing for a conference championship or a national championship, things like that. And I just think, with COVID, there's a ton of guys that got that extra year back where everybody did that wanted to. Then the NCAA passed the the one time immediately eligible transfer rule, and that just has created a logjam, and Coach P and I have talked about it quite a bit. And like now you have with that, you have even at the JUCO level, your highest level JUCO guys, your top, 15, 20 JUCO guys, they're usually 20, 25 offers deep, and those offers are from everybody with the exception of, your Blue Bloods, your Kentucky's, North Carolina's, Dukes, and maybe every once in a while a guy will sneak into Kansas from a JUCO. But, with that being said, man, these high school kids, when you have somebody Division I, Division II, that wants to provide an opportunity for you, better jump on it, because here we go again with what everybody talks about in our, in our arena, in our world is the transfer portal, and there are a lot of guys out there, and the best guys that are out there are the ones that actually play, and so those guys that play and they play at a high level and they produce, they're just going to be, the perception is they're just more ready than, a high school kid. And we're going through it here. We're trying to help a few guys garner a few more notoriety, pick up some more interest and things like that. But it's so many available players that it's just so hard to get, guys signed. So, with those guys gaining that extra year of eligibility with COVID and, the 1 year or the one time immediately eligible, that's just created a log jam. So for any of you kids out there and parents out there listening, if you see a good opportunity out there, you better not wait, because, you have transfers and they're coming from Division IIs, NAIAs. Like Coach Perry coached at NAIA, and I'm pretty sure he could, name off a few guys that could play anywhere that played for him there. And likewise for me at junior college. So, at the end of the day, you have to go where you feel like it's the best opportunity for you. And then those guys that are transferring, you got to watch out for those guys that play a lot and when they're successful at any level. Because we're seeing guys from Division IIIs that go to Baylor and they're one of the best players at Baylor. That's unheard of, 10 years ago.
Right.
So just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, not to mention Duncan Robinson. He did it with Michigan, and obviously as an NBA player, there's a young man from Dallas that I know pretty well that went to my alma mater. I played Division II and Division III. Demetrius Underwood, he starts for College of Charleston right now. He's a D3 All-American. It happens. It definitely happens. It's becoming more of a thing. You got to go where you love and then kind of figure out the rest as it goes, be planted where your feet are and then kind of cross those bridges as they come. But kind of wrapping up a little bit, 2 questions left for each. Coach Perry, what would you say you've learned from this experience that helped you win, and if you choose to go back to the Division I level? Same for you, Jake. And then I'll come back around and you can tell us one quick funny story or funny moment from your career or from this year.
Well, for me, what I feel like I've learned is that, you can take a group of high-level, talented guys and get them to buy into each other, into the system, to be very successful on the court, but just not on the court, but off the court, as well. Because we run everything here just like college. We have study hall. We have a team GPA of a 3.6, which is phenomenal. I love the fact we had a couple kids at their old high school had lower GPAs, and they come here, and because of the individual attention, because of the structure, the discipline, the organization, that now they have a 3.6 GPA, and stuff too. So I really am proud of that factor there. But, also just knowing that, in year number 1, we can go out and compete at the level of Mount Verds or Sunrise, IMGs, and Lalamiers, Oak Hills, those schools of that stature, there. And just like I told our guys, it's a matter of you just believing, in yourself. And, one of the things we always preach all the time is bet on yourself, too, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else can believe in you, so that's probably the biggest things that I've learned this year from these guys, too. And always have fun, because we believe in having fun. We have a lot of fun with these guys, and they really, love us, and we love them, too. And because of that love that we have for each other, we're always going to be successful.
Yep. Well said. Appreciate that. That was great. Jake?
Yeah, I just say that, it's not so much that I learned it, it's giving me a lot more conviction. I think you have to have a good amount of talent, and you have to have a culture. I think that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, in those tough games, everybody has to be locked in and on the same page. And when I've been successful here and, prior to coming here, like, the team was, they might not have liked each other. They might not have liked their role, but, when it was time to do it in the big time games, everybody fell in line, and that's not to say that you can play any way you want to when it's not any way you want to, when it's not a big time game. But I think that, if you have enough talent to win and you have guys bought in to doing the same thing, and like Coach just said, doing your job, I think that, that becomes paramount. Once you have that coach with some talent, it's going to be hard to beat you. And then secondly, I'd say I think I've made some mistakes recruiting in the past because, you try to get the most talented guy, the guy that's the most appealing, the highlight reel guy, the guy with the best stats, and you kind of iffy about taking them, and here, man, it seems like right now we made the right choices, so I think now I've kind of evolved to finding guys that fit more, because ultimately if the kid don't want to be here, if he's not going to buy in, it's not going to work out. But everybody going to be mad. Coach is going to be mad because we took him, and the kid going to be mad because he came here. So, I think fit is something that is really, jumped out to me in this experience.
Yep, well said. All right, we're going to go funny story. Jake, we're going to keep you in the hot seat. You got to go first. We're going to let Coach close it out.
Funny story.
Or funny moment, anything in your career. You forgot some shoes one time. You had to wear some slippers. Whatever you got.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going into my senior year in high school, and my dad was kind of our AAU coach / chaperone. So he'd take us, up and down. And we really just played in Dallas in every Great American Shootout. But anyways, we were on the way back home, and I was in the back of the Suburban, man, with one of my teammates. And you know how you're in the car for a while, your leg falls asleep. And me and this young man were the same skin color, and it was something on my leg, and I started rubbing on my leg, and and about 20 seconds in, he was like, "Jake, man, you know that's not your leg, right?" And so I was like, "Okay, my bad, man. I just thought my leg was asleep, So, and it might have been a minute. I don't know if it was 20 seconds or not, but it was definitely long enough to cause some awkwardness there. So,
wow.
Needless to say, I haven't made that mistake again. So.
That's great. That's a great one. You act like you have one. That's a great one. Oh, I love it. All right, Coach P, you're up when we close it out.
Well, for me, it's our guys. We, like I said, I can't say enough about how great of a group of guys we have, and we're always making jokes and having fun with them, and they return the favor and do the same thing with us. Too, because we're a Christian school, so obviously we believe in God and study the Bible and everything like that. And so our guys have this deal now that they call perrelations, is what it is. So like we have our own version of the Bible now, and it's all perrelations, is what it is. And so they'll go around and repeat things that I said and made it into a one of their perrelations. I told them one time, that I don't care if I'm playing against my grandma, she ain't beat me, and so they'll go around now and be like, I don't care if I'm playing against my grandma, she ain't winning this game, and stuff. And I told them, one time I ain't seen my dad in months, and we was in a meeting, and my dad called like, I ain't worried about him right now. We got a game that we got to concentrate on, and stuff. And so they take all that stuff and put it all in perrelations. So it's almost like every day now they add new perrelations chapter in the book, too, on all the different things that we say, things like that, too. So I always find that very funny. And then the other thing I always find very funny is our guys play 2K, the video games and stuff like that. And when they're playing against each other, because even when we travel on our bus, we have the PlayStation games and stuff on our bus. So while we're traveling, they actually play the games on the bus. And so while they're playing, they'll start naming off our defensive rules. Oh, you see, he's at the midline. He's at the midline. Oh, you one pass away. You one pass away. And it's so funny because these are all the things that we're telling them all the time too. And now they taking it to heart. Now they're using it when they actually playing the games. So we always get a kick out of that there too. But those are the two things I feel like are real fun to me, just to see their growth and development.
That's awesome. And then, Coach, while you're there, anything last you want to just close out and say, I will let you have the floor to say and share, and then we'll do the same with Jake, and then we'll let you guys get back to 26-0
Well, hopefully, people will get a chance to actually see us in the future, too, and understand that, hey, this is a great place for players to be able to come and grow and develop because of the way that we actually do things, too, because, one of my main goals and reason why I want to go hire college coaches as part of our staff is because all our guys have a goal of going and playing college basketball. Our practice is just like college. The way we live is just like college. We have our own strength and conditioning coach, just like college. We have our own personal chefs that fixes their breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day, as well. Our guys have California king size beds in their room. We have parent quarters for the parents to stay in when they come. So when you have an opportunity just to come and visit our campus, we feel like it's on a whole nother level that, we're going to win a lot of battles, just that alone, plus the accountability that you're going to get here, because this place is not for everybody. Everyone does not want to be coached hard. Everyone doesn't want to be held accountable. And we feel like this is a place that, moving forward, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I think you're already a force to be reckoned with, Coach, for the record at 26-0. But I do hear you. You're going to continue to be one. We'll let Jake get his final words in.
Nothing more than just thank you for, giving us a platform to come on here and talk. Appreciate it. We go back a ways, man. And I really appreciate you giving me this platform. Happy that, you're happy with what you're doing. And then secondly, make sure everyone knows the high school is Link Academy. Link Academy. Make sure we get that, and which that really is conducive to the narrative that we need to get our respect that we've earned. So a lot of people call us Link Your Prepper, Link Your Academy. It is those two words, Link Academy. So,
yep, very good.
For anybody that asks you let them know.
Yeah,
go Lions.
We'll make sure to get that word out.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys taking the time. Love to see brothers doing their thing that have been at different levels in college basketball and giving back to the youngsters and doing your thing at an elite level. So showing that we can do more than just recruit and be on the staff and be in a box. So keep up the great work. I know greater things are to come. And, look forward to continue to follow. And thanks for joining.